Not long ago, I came across a very interesting quote by none other than Mr. Albert Einstein. His words were, "The world will not be destroyed by people who do evil, but by people who watch them without doing anything." In a reflexively flashing speed, I understood a fundamental thing about his meaning. Speak up. It is not in everyone's nature to speak up, and I understand that it requires a certain amount of courage to step up and thus speak up. In a lot of ways, speaking up has proven to be more of a burden than of good for both the speaker itself and for his entourage. I believe such oddity is caused by the intolerance of outliers, the intolerance of outstanding and not going with the flow within society. Speaking up has its consequences, to each its own depending on the gravity of the situation. But does it necessarily mean that speaking up is a bad thing? Does it mean that the freedom of speech that we were granted by our ancestors be taken so granted? Does it mean that we easily give up our integrity for simply the mere safety and no conflict zone?
I would like to point out a culture of ours right here in this rich land, Indonesia. In more than 7 years of observation, I realized that speaking up has been a real issue here in the society. It is not taught and it is not encouraged. My sister, who is currently a 6th elementary school grader, not in her 6 years of education has she been taught about speaking up. On the contrary, she and her fellow are more subject to freedom of speech suppression. They are intoxicated with the understanding that speaking up is a form of rebellion and revolt rather than the positive change as a generator itself. And so what happens? They shut up. When something is clearly wrong, they shut up. People love to play safe, to be where people stand and simply be protected by being around everyone else, even when they're on the edge of a cliff, because if they were wrong, then at least they would not be alone. So many times I've encountered people complaining and disputing matters so vigorously. In my mind, such fire must be as strong as it is when they are put under the spotlight, but it is not the case. They speak with a fire that extinguishes the second they are given the opportunity to channel it. A little paradoxical, isn't it? Now, why is it that speaking up is more negatively interpreted rather than the opposite?
People are simply afraid. It is a function of our self-preservation. They are afraid of the inevitable possibilities and outcomes, and most of all, they're afraid of stepping out of the crowd. It has to do with the fear of being alone. Speaking up enables changes as it enables business opportunities. Speaking up enables people to think more thoroughly, and most of all, it enables people to clarify their principles. We need more people in this world to speak up, especially in this country. Just like doing business, you can't do business and expect people to understand what you truly want without saying anything. What do you think made Steve Jobs a successful man that he became? He was a hellish critic, but although he was known for that way, he knew that speaking up to what he wanted was the best thing to do. By doing so, although harshly he was known, he became the face of Apple that you now know. It is a truly sad thing that people still don't see this as an act of bravery and integrity. People demand in the most extreme ways for changes to occur, but they don't even dare to at least whisper a voice of theirs. They wait and they wait for someone to do it for them. Changes cannot and will not occur by waiting. If you care for a cause, stand up and speak up. Because your rights to speak up is probably the most valuable rights that you can possibly have in your entire life. So stand up. Say what you think should be said. Don't wait. Don't wait for anyone to make first move. Believe what you truly believe. Through remote considerations must be heard and is a necessity for you and people around you. So speak up.